Shalom. This week's parashas is a double parashas, Chukas and Balak. And the soul of the people became impatient because of the way. Numbers chapter 21, verse 4. In Israel, as a result of circumstances that seemed beyond their control, grew impatient along the journey. By taking a roundabout way around the country of Edom, they felt they were moving further away from their destination. Their frustration manifested in the form of complaining. Yet, the question may be asked, did they really have anything to complain about? What was the nature of their complaint? The Torah records that the people spoke against God and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread and there is no water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. Numbers chapter 21, verse 5. Commentary explains that they were dissatisfied with the mode of their existence. In other words, they were discontent not only with the bread and water that Hashem provided for them, rather also with the means that they received this provision. In particular, Rabbi Balak explains that their complaint disparaged the manna and the water from the well of Miriam that Hashem had provided for them on their travels, because they were dependent each day and every day on Hashem to give what was necessary for their daily existence. This is in comparison to other nations who were able to store up a supply of bread and water that was always available. It was as if they were really saying that the bread and water they received was not in the manner that they would have preferred. Moreover, the manna did not seem substantial enough for the rigors of the wilderness that they had to endure. Yet Hashem provided for them on a daily basis in order to test their faith in Him. For they would have to trust that on the morrow they would be able to collect the manna in the morning during the weekdays. Of course, on the sixth day, they received a double portion for that day and Shabbat. Yet they were tired of this type of day-to-day existence and seemingly yearned for more security in regard to their material needs. Because of their complaints against Him and the heavenly provision of manna, God sent fiery serpents that bit the people. When they acknowledged the wrong perspective, Hashem told Moshe to make a copper serpent and place it on a pole. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he seeth it, shall live, as mentioned in Numbers chapter 21, verse 8. Thus, as Rashi comments, when they looked up towards the serpent, they turned their hearts to their Father in Shemayim, heaven. In Parsha Balak, the prophet of the nations, Balaam, is hired by Balak, king of Moab, to curse Bnei Israel. The concern of the Moabites was that they could potentially be attacked by the children of Israel. They had heard of how Bnei Israel defeated Sichon and Og, two Ammonite kings, and they feared for themselves. Specifically, Torah records that when they saw the multitude of Bnei Israel, they were overwhelmed with dread. The Hebrew word translated in this pasuk verse as dread is kuts. This is the same word used to describe how the Egyptians felt about the children of Israel generations ago when they saw that the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and the more they spread abroad. It's mentioned in Exodus chapter 1, verse 12. Balaam's three attempts to curse Israel are thwarted by Hashem. Each time he and Balak bring 7 offerings to Hashem, hoping to appease him. Yet Hashem is adamantly opposed to Balaam's intent to curse Israel. Balaam was told by God even before he set out on his journey to Moab with the princes sent by Balak, "Thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed." Numbers chapter 22, verse 12. Yet, eventually, in response to the persistence of Balak's emissaries, God said to Balaam, "Rise up, go with them, and only the word which I speak unto thee thou shalt do." Numbers chapter 22, verse 20. Later on the journey to Moab, Balaam was reminded by the angel of Hashem, "Only speak the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak." Numbers 22, verse 35. So not only did Hashem prevent Balaam from cursing Israel, he also caused Balaam to bless Israel instead. Reflecting on the complaints of the children of Israel concerning the provision of manna and water that Hashem provided for them, as mentioned in parashas Chukas, it is interesting to note that they were not somehow prevented from complaining. Rather, they were rebuked after the fact. If there was some way that Hashem could prevent us from complaining in life, then perhaps instead of words of negativity, we would speak positive words each and every time. Our intended curses, so to speak, would be transformed into blessings. Set a guard, O Lord, to my mouth. Keep watch at the door of my lips. Psalm 141, verse 3. Shabbat Shalom.